You're thinking about buying a brand new Mark 8 GTI or Golf R, and you're probably wondering things that you probably should know before buying. Should I buy this car? Should I avoid this car? Well, I am in fact a owner of a Mark 8 Volkswagen GTI. I've owned this car for about 7 months so far, and I am absolutely loving it. So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys 5 things you should know before buying a Mark 8 GTI or R. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Anyways, welcome back guys to another Chef's Garage video. And if you are new to my channel and this is the first time seeing my face on your screen, don't forget to please click that subscribe button down below. In doing so, you're getting Mark 8 GTI content and a bunch of other car content coming very soon. And I am currently building my Mark 8 GTI on my YouTube channel. I just actually, the last video, I got an exhaust for this thing. I got the ECS tuning valve capback, which if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link down below in the description, or it's up in the iCard or something. It's just my last video, and I am absolutely loving this capback exhaust. So this is basically the first thing I've done to this car. And I've also done dynamic turn signal indicators, which I will do a video on these. I'm not even going to say how much I paid because, well, it's honestly just a steal for the price I paid for these things. But in this video, I'm going to tell you guys 5 things you should know before buying one of these cars, because the new Mark 8 GTI is obviously very, very different than the Mark 7 GTI. So if you're coming from a Mark 7, or are you just looking to get to the GTI family or our family, this is the video to watch. So without further ado, let's get started off with the first thing. First thing that you should know before buying a Mark 8 GTI or R is to understand the trim levels. Now with the Golf R, there's only one trim level, so that's the one you're going to be getting. But if you're thinking about buying a GTI, you should consider the trim level. So if you are new to Volkswagen, but Volkswagen has a sort of small, medium, large kind of trim level system going on here. First you have the S, which is the base model. Then you have the SE, which is the car that I have. Then you have the Autobahn, which is the top of the line, fully spec'd out model. The SE is, in my opinion, the one you should be getting. Now, first of all, you have the base model, which is the S. So for that, you're going to be getting LED headlights, these 18-inch alloy wheels. You're going to be getting the digital gauge cluster, this exact steering wheel, the heated steering wheel with perforations on the side, flat bottom too. You're going to be getting an 8-inch touchscreen instead of the nicer 10-inch touchscreen, and as well as you are, what's another thing you're only going to be getting? Oh yeah, and you're not going to be able to option the leather seats. You're actually going to be getting plaid seats and with manual adjustment. So you're also will be getting blind spot, and so those are some of the things that you will be getting on the base S trim. You also will be able to option the DSG or the manual, and as well as the limited slip front differential is standard in the S trim level. Then you have the SE, which is the one I think is the best deal to get. I think the Autobahn isn't quite worth it because, well, the SE exists. So with the SE, you're going to be getting the upgraded LED headlights over the S trim level. The light bar that goes across here, that's going to be available only on the SE and above. You also do get the option to equip the leather seats, which is something I'll get into later in this video, but I think these seats are well worth it. You're going to be getting the 10-inch touchscreen with your volume and AC controls right here. You're also going to be getting the panoramic glass roof, which I absolutely love. Definitely a must get right there. And then you will be getting the keyless entry, which is a very useful feature. Sometimes when you have the car with the keys in your pocket, you can walk up to the car and the car automatically unlocks, which is pretty neat. And Sirius XM satellite radio and wireless Apple CarPlay. So those are the things you're going to be getting over the base S model, which in my mind, I think is completely worth it. I mean, keyless entry is a great feature. I love the upgraded headlights for safety. So now let's talk about the Autobahn, because I don't think the Autobahn's quite worth it in my opinion. The Autobahn does get nicer wheels. It gets 19-inch wheels instead of the 18-inch wheels that you have on the S and SE. You do also get heated rear seats in the Autobahn, which if you have kids may be worth it for them, but you don't get that in the SE. You also do get the option to put a heads-up display. As you can see, the heads-up display will go right there, but this car obviously is an SE, so you won't get that option. And you also will get these heated and ventilated seats as standard. Now the SE you have the option to pick these seats and automatic seats with memory as well. You have the option to put these seats in it, which is a great it's great that they offer that. And you also get the Harman Kardon sound system in the Autobahn, which you can't actually get in the SE anymore because of the part shortages. So if you want the Harman Kardon sound system, you have to go with the Autobahn trim. So because you can get the nicer seats and the nicer seats with the heated and ventilated stuff, you also get the safety features in the SE as well. I just don't see the Autobahn to be worth it. I mean, it may be worth it if you like all the gadgets and gizmos, or if you really like head-up displays, then I guess that can be worth it. But other than those few things, oh yeah, you also get the DCC dynamic chassis control, but I'm going to be lowering my car in the future anyway, so it doesn't really bother me that I don't have that. But for those reasons, I just don't think the Autobahn is well worth the $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 more than what it is to the SE. I think the SE is a great spot because you can option the Autobahn seats in it, and because of that, I just don't see spending the extra money and getting the Autobahn unless you like the extra features. But that is something to know before you buy one of these cars. Now, I did say that there is something to talk about with the seats. Now, if you are getting a Mark 8 GTI, I highly recommend to upgrade to the SE trim if you like comfy seats, because these leather seats, or leatherette, faux leather seats, whatever you want to call them, are the nicest seats I've ever had, like ever sat in. They are so comfy. They hold you in way better than the cloth seats do. I've sat in both, and I prefer the leather, as well as the leather's way easier to clean than the tartan plaid seats, cloth seats that you get in the base model. So if you are gonna drive this car a lot, I highly recommend to upgrade to the SE and get the leather seats. It's gonna be worth it because you do get power and memory and 4-way lumbar as well. So just keep that in mind. If you do like comfy seats, I highly recommend to get this package. I believe it's a $1,500 option, but well worth it. They look fantastic as well, with the black, the gray, and the red, and the stitching and piping and all that stuff. So if you like driving your car a lot, get the leather seats. Highly recommend that option. If you have an SE, you can't get that. If you have an S, you can't get that. But in the SE and above, if you're gonna get an SE with the plaid seats or tartan, upgrade to the leather. It's well worth it. And if you have an Autobahn, you get it standard. So the third thing that you should know before buying one of these cars is you are going to experience lots of bugs. Every single Mark 8 GTI owner has experienced all these little bugs and glitches with their car. At this point, it's basically normal. I haven't experienced a lot lately, but if you are planning on buying one of these cars and expecting it's going to be the most perfect car in the world, just get that visualization out of your head, because one of these at this point is, if a little tiny bug is kind of considered normal to Volkswagen. So just be prepared that you are going to experience some bugs. You may have to visit the dealer depending on how well your car was made. I was pretty lucky, and I actually got one of the better made ones when this car first came out. Mine was one of the first in Massachusetts, but just expect that you are going to be, well, experiencing a lot of bugs and glitches if you buy one of these things. The fourth thing that you should definitely consider before buying one of these cars is to get used to the downsize in quality in this car. So this car, basically compared to a Mark 7, it's not as well materials wise. They didn't use as great of materials. There's a lot of plastic on the interior. That's basically a big theme at this point when it comes to this car. So a lot on the door panels. The passenger side is manual, and in the back as well, it's a lot of this like plastic, which in a car like this I don't really mind. But for the people that are getting into one of these cars, no matter if you buy a GTI or an R, you're going to be getting all this plastic, unfortunately. You will be getting some different trim on the dashboard. You will be getting carbon fiber in the Golf R, but again, slightly disappointing for those people that are about to, slightly disappointing for those people that spent over 50 grand on a Volkswagen Golf R. So, but I'm sure, I haven't spoken to a Mark 8 Golf R owner yet, but I'm sure they're probably disappointed about that aspect. Now, the final thing that you guys should know before buying one of these cars is the redesigned dashboard, and specifically with that is how you change the drive modes, because the drive modes in this car really change the whole experience. So every time when you start the car, no matter what drive mode you're in, it automatically defaults to comfort. If you drive in comfort all the time, then this may not be a problem for you. But like for someone like me that drives in sport mode all the time, so you can get all the nice pops out of the exhaust, you have to basically put it in sport mode every single time you start the car, which some people may not know that. I've met Mark 8 owners that actually have told this to them, but they thought that after you just leave in sport mode, it's in sport mode every time. You don't have to go and re-put it back on. Well, that's not the case. If you want to put it in sport mode every time, you have to go re-put it back on, and it's kind of annoying. But that is something you should know if you'd like to use the drive modes in this car. And so those are 5 things that you should know before buying a Mark 8 GTI. No matter which GTI or Golf R you go with, they're all fantastic. I mean, this is just, obviously these are all my opinions, so if you don't want to take them, don't feel free to not. But I absolutely am loving my GTI. I mean, the exhaust really just made this car 10 times better. I love it 10 times more now. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, smash that like button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.